And listen, I'm just as excited as you to listen to Cody today. Listen, been in the business for 5 years. I know some of you are brand new, so this is really a good perspective. Around 400,000 in income, already has $50 million in assets under management. And the greatest issue that I see is we hear from so many of our advisors, how do I get appointments? How do I stay busy? What do I do to get in front of more people? That's where the work is. But if you implement some of the things that I personally did and Cody's living right now, God, the business just gets easy and easy and easy if you take care of people and you follow up. So Cody, man, we appreciate you taking the time, man. I'm proud of you. After you're texting me some of your numbers, you're absolutely one of my heroes in the business because you're doing things the right way. So I appreciate you taking the time.
Hey, thanks, Ben. Well, guys, thanks for having me on the call here. I know Ben has mentioned marketing and lead generation. There's a little bit of stuff that we used to do in the very beginning days. We still do it now. That's kind of what drives our business forward. And I've only really known one side of Primerica, and I'm going to share that with you and exactly what we did. Hector always talked about fundamentals, fundamentals, fundamentals. I'm hoping to leave you guys here today with some fundamentals. So let's just get right into it here. I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully this works. For everybody out there, I am probably the worst tech guy imaginable. So let's just hope that this goes down without a hitch. All right. Shout out to Laura. She's my wife and the business partner here. 2 years ago, she quit her job, came full time. She works in the back office. I'm not a master of doing slideshows, so just bear with me. Some people dream of success while other people get up every morning and make it happen. When I saw this the other day, it just reminded me, for the first 2 years of our business, we didn't have an office. Our closest office was about 6 hours away, is where we were kind of branched out of. And I could remember jumping in my car on Saturday mornings, driving 6 hours for training to turn around and drive back from the same day. Okay, we did that multiple times. So when we talk about just getting up and going to work, here's a snapshot of our story. 2010, I started a woodworking business. And 2016, I should go back to 2010. 2010, I was introduced to Primerica, signed an IBA, didn't get licensed. Okay, that was my Primerica story. 2016 rolls around, I'm burnt out in the industry that I'm working in, and I was re-recruited into Primerica, basically recruited myself. 2017, January of 2017, I had a life license. Okay, my RVP calls me up. I'm standing on a ladder, nailing trim on a wall. It was the first week of January. He said, Cody, you know you can make 100 grand this year. And I was like, okay, let's do it. I didn't believe him at all. Come June, I'd only made $8,000 part-time, but I was fully licensed. And I want to talk to you about this number 8 on the list, Pam at Second Cup. So I had my mutual fund license for a week. I had 0 assets under management. I'd done a few life sales. Okay. And I sat down with a fella and he said, Cody, your presentation looks great, but there's a problem. My sister works at another financial firm here. You're going to have to talk to her. She pulls up in a car that was worth probably more than my house, gets out in clothes that are worth more than I was making a year type of thing. And she sits down and this is exactly what she said. She said, Cody, I've been working in the business 15 years. I manage 150 million assets under management. What have you got? And I was like, well, I just got licensed last week. I got no assets under management. I'm trying to take your brother on as a client. And she said, show me your presentation. I did a presentation for her, which I'm going to do for you guys today. And by the end of it, she said, she was so blown away. She actually quit working for that firm about 6 months later. And to this day, we have a professional relationship and her entire family are clients of mine. So it's crazy. Okay. Booking appointments, my first month full-time, that was June of 2017. I focused on booking 5 appointments every single day. Okay. And that's the accountability that I held myself to. And so where do we find the appointments? I found them on what I generally found, we want to be in 4 to 5 pointer markets, right? But these guys work during the day. So from 8 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock at night, they're working, right? So you got to phone these guys from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Well, what do you do during the daytime? And I found that I was very, very bored during the daytime. And so I developed a way where I would cold call, walk into businesses, talk to the business owners, generate leads that way. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that in just a second. But what ended up happening is 6 months later, we'd made 100 grand. Okay, so from January 2017 to January 2018, we got the ring. Sylvester Stallone was once asked, where are you going? He said, I'm going to realize my potential. This is our stats, okay? You can see here in 2016, couple life sales, $1,000. 2017, 94 grand. We were making 100 and I'll just go to 2019 there. Basically 173,000 as a regional leader, went to RVP, took the contract. This is kind of where we are today. I'm trying to rush through this part, guys, because there's a little bit more that I want to talk on. Remember, Tony Stark said sometimes you got to run before you can walk. Let's talk about some fundamentals, okay? So day one, I was told there's 3 things you need to learn. Number 1, how to operate a financial calculator. Number 2, how to set a FIN number, and everything else you're going to learn at the kitchen table. So for those of you that like to take screenshots, screenshot this. This is a 10B2 financial calculator. It's all I know how to use, and this is how we generate our business. So download it, it'll cost you $8, but it's totally worth it. Once you get it, how do you calibrate it? This is the only way I know how to calibrate it. You press the orange button, you press what, you press 1, the orange button, PMT, orange button, begin to end. Simple. Let's go to the next slide here. And here are the calculator functions. And I'm going to actually step you guys through how this works. N, across the top of your calculator, you have N, IYR, PV, PMT, and future value. N is the number of years. IYR is interest per year. PV is present value. PMT is payment per year. And FV is future value. Why am I telling you this, guys? Because this is our business, right? I could tell you about the times I walked up to a business, the front door was locked. I went around the side doors was locked. I went through the chain link fence and came in the back, and there was a guy standing there. I booked an appointment and he became a client. Okay, those are the things that we've done. I can tell you about the times I'm sitting at a red light and I look to my left and there's a car that pulls up and it's got a business like name on the side of it. And I pick up the phone the business owner, and I book the appointment. Okay, and that's what we do on a daily basis, right? Because I'm trying to get into as many markets as possible. But when we get there, right? How do we show enough value to close the sales? And this is all part of it. All right. What I take with me, I take a notepad, an index chart, a sample F&A, and a couple portfolios, right? Because I have no idea anything about the client that's going to come, but we just have something for examples, right? And I'm just going to pause here for a second, and I want to bring in this financial calculator I was talking about. So to give you an example, okay, let's say you meet with somebody that has $10,000. That's what they have today. That's their present value. Let's say that you're going to put them in a portfolio. Historically, that portfolio is average 9%. We're going to, hope for the best, and let's assume they're going to get 9%. Maybe the client's 30 years old, so they got 35 years until retirement, right? That's N. Let's say they add nothing to it, so 0 PMT, so 0 payment at this time. In 35 years, that $10,000 has grown to 204 grand. Okay, I'm going to go back to my slideshow here. And we're going to say, okay, go talk to people. Who do we talk to? So when I got involved in the business, we were told talk to family, friends, all of those things, right? I went out and I started talking to my family and friends, and they had already been approached by Americans, and they already were all set up. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to talk to other people. And so I went out and talked to 68 people. They all said no, right? But this is what I was asking. I was like, hey, do you have anybody helping you with your insurance investments? And they were saying, yeah, I'm good. And I'm like, okay, well, if anything changes, here's my business card, right? Nobody ever called me back. And I'm sure everybody can relate to that. But what I learned next is that ask for the business. So it would be something like this. Hey, Brad, do you have anybody helping you with your insurance investments? And Brad's like, yeah, I'm working with a guy. And I'm like, that's awesome. How do I earn your business? And Brad's like, well, I don't know. And he will tell you how to earn his business, and you earn his business, right? And so that's those were the business owners we talked to. The vehicle decals, they're business owners. You're going to talk to them. Here's the thing, guys. Every business owner is a 5-pointer kitchen table, right? You just got to grab an angle and go for it. And how I structured that is this, and this is very important to understand, okay? Because I've talked to people before, and they said, "Oh man, Cody, I've tried talking to business owners. It doesn't work." Follow up is key, okay? So if I'm going to go out and talk to 20 business owners today on a Thursday, I'm going to write down those 20 business owners that I talked to, what was said, any important information I picked up, anything about them. Oh, this guy has a birthday party this weekend. This guy's going fishing. You're going to want to bring all of this back when you follow up a week from there. So every Thursday for the next month and a half, I am seeing those same clients. And here's the thing, guys, 90% of those clients or 90% of those prospects will become clients in the next 30 to 45 days. Okay. And then the cycle continues. And once you're in there, then you're getting the referrals, and they're referring you to, I got one client I sat down with, moved about 85,000 for him. I think he's referred me to over $7 million. Right. And that's just bringing value. You're going to see that. Third party approach, right? Maybe you're not as direct as saying, hey, Brad, I want to earn your business. But maybe you're going to say something like, hey, Brad, here's the deal. I'm growing my business. I'm expanding. I'm trying to get into new markets. This is what I'd like to do. I'd like to sit down with you, grab a coffee, and just show you who I am, what we do, what makes us unique in the industry, right? And it might not be for you. That's fine. But once you see it, if you believe in it, if I can blow your mind, is there any reason that you wouldn't, refer me to 2 or 3 people that are just like you, married, they've got kids, they're working, they're, and you set that expectation. So Brad knows exactly what's happening on that appointment. And here's what happened, guys. I did hundreds of these while I was out prospecting. I'm picking up the phone, booking a coffee with a guy that I know, and I sit down with him with the intention of getting referrals. And do you know what happened? 85% of them became clients because they were like, wow, Cody, this is amazing. You got to look at our insurance. You got to look at our investments, right? And so again, it just comes down to massive activity is all we ever did. All right. 5 appointments a day for 3 weeks. That brought us business for a year and a half. Okay. And then inside that, we recruited people, we got referrals, we got the introductions, so forth, so on. What do I say? I covered that a little bit. One thing I do want to mention, I've never actually been hit with is this a pyramid scheme? And the reason for that is because I don't present myself as a pyramid scheme. I have a coat that's got Primerica right on it. You can see it here, Primerica and PFSL Investments. And this is what I say. Hey, Brad, I'm Cody Beckett. I own Primerica and PFSL Investments here in Lloydminster. We're a financial services company. So we help people with things like their life insurance investments, things like that. You currently have somebody that helps you with your life insurance and investments. I don't care what Brad says. He can say yes or no. I'm going to say, hey, that's awesome. I'd like to work with you. Right? If we were to get together, how would what would it take to earn your business? Right? And sometimes, let's say I'm popping into a business and the business owner, he shakes your hand. He's like, you know what? Come in, show me what you got. Okay. So here's the 2 presentations. The first one I'm going to do fairly quickly here. And then the second one, I'm going to go in more detail. But when I'm sitting down with a business owner, talking to them about their business, how they expand, how they grow their business, what they do to get into new markets. I want to know this, right? And basically, I'm just trying to find out everything about them. But I'm going to ask them, do they have money inside the company that isn't used to grow the company on a yearly basis, that isn't used to pay employees, or like we're talking about cash at the end of the year that is just accumulating. And if you're running a business, you should have cash that's accumulating inside there, right? And so maybe they do, maybe they don't, maybe they're trying to start a pack. They want to grow money inside there. So here's what I say to them. I say, okay, here's an example of what it looks like having your money left in a bank account, right? So let's say you've got $100,000 sitting in your bank account today, okay? And we all know inflation's averaged about 3.5%. I'm going to show you an index chart presentation here in a second. But I've already done the presentation, the index presentation to the business owner at this point, okay? So you got $100,000 and we're going to look at a 10-year window. Why a 10-year window? Because it seems everybody can kind of see 10 years. It's hard for them to see 30 years, 35 years down the road, but they can see 10 years, right? So 10 years down the road, we look at this 100 grand, right? And we're going to go both ways. We're going to say, what does it look like if you leave the money in your bank account? Well, that 100 grand is only worth $70,000 in 10 years. Cody, how did you figure that out? Remember that calculator I shared with you guys, $100,000 today. If inflation is 3.5%, and that's going to work against their money, we got to enter that as a negative. If we're 10 years out and add nothing to it, your purchasing power in 10 years is $70,000. Right now, you guys, I know this might seem like, Cody, I've seen this a million times. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. The point is, this is what we did to move $50 million in the last 5 years, because I've got a business owner sitting in front of me that all of a sudden is like, I don't want to lose money. You just showed me I'm losing money, right? So let's show them the solution. What's the solution? Let's say, Mr. Mrs. Client, all we do is take your money and I invest that money, okay? And all we average is 3.5%. I'm not talking about 9%. I'm not talking about 12%. I'm saying, what does it look like if we just hedge inflation? Okay. Well, in 10 years, that money has grown to $140,000. Okay. So now, how did I figure that out? Back to the calculator, 3.5%. Let's say you got 100 grand today. It grows at 3.5% for the next 10 years, 141 grand. Isn't that something? Mr. and Mrs. Client, you're hedging inflation, right? I cannot tell you guys how many millions of dollars we've moved on that presentation alone. Okay. Brad, who do you know that's in business that might be in the same scenario where they don't want to lose money every single year? And all of a sudden, Brad's introducing me to his buddy over here, who's a business owner, because like-minded people hang out with each other, right? Business owners, no business owners. Millionaires, no millionaires. Broke people, no broke people. So when we talk about our market, guys, be in the right market, okay? I'm going to go back to my slideshow here. The second presentation is the Fin presentation. And I know Arlie is on the call. He's done this. Arlie, Doug, you guys are like masters at this. This is where I have learned this. And so I'm going to walk you guys through a basic presentation that I do with everybody, right? When it comes to finances, guys, and money, there's two main risks in life, okay? There's die too soon and there's live too long. And we're a buy term, invest the difference company. And we know that term insurance runs out. So one of the goals that you should always have is to make sure that when that term expires, your client has enough money that they're not phoning you up saying, why is my 20-year term expiring? Well, you shouldn't need any money at this point or any life insurance at this point because you should have the money. Well, I didn't invest the money. Why? Because you didn't talk to them about it. Let's sit down with Mr. and Mrs. Smith. They're both 35 years old. And I use their age, their income, and have that conversation. So you guys are going to get the idea of this, but go out. So if I was talking to Brad, I'd say, Brad, how old are you? He says 35. How old is your wife? 35. Okay. Brad, how much money do you make a year? Well, I make $75,000 a year. All right. Mrs. Brad, what do you make? Well, I make $75,000 a year. So you guys make $150,000 a year right now. Okay. If you were retired today, I find you guys, this is a very important question. Brad, if you were retired today, how much of this $150,000 would you require to comfortably live? Why am I asking that? I'm asking that because when I set this FIN number, I've just overcome the objection of I'm not going to need that much money down the road because the house is paid for, the kids are gone. So I'm saying it up front. How much do you need now? Because when Brad tells me that he only needs $100,000 a year to live on, if all the debt were paid for and the kids were gone, right? He's not going to give me that objection down the road. So Brad, you're 35, you want to retire, we'll call it 65, probably sooner than that, right? That gives you 30 years from where you're going or from where you're at to where you're going. The question is, what does this $100,000 look like at 65? And you guys, in order to understand that, we need to look at an index chart. And Brad, I'm sure you've seen an index chart before. I word it that way so that I don't say, have you seen an index chart before? And then the client has to feel dumb because they haven't, right? I'm sure you've seen an index chart before. But basically, this just shows the US and Canadian economy since 1934, okay? And there's a little black line right there. That's inflation. And so this is 600 goods and services we use every day, things like eggs, sugar, flour, milk. Right. And if you were in the grocery store in 1934, you got the cart, you're filling it up, you get to the till. Let's say that basket of goods ran you $1,000. All right. Well, let's just fast forward till today. That same basket of goods would run you almost 20 grand. Right. So inflation over the last 87, 88, 89 years there has averaged 3.5% inflation. You guys, I take so much time on this presentation on the index because this is what sets the stage for everything. It sets the stage of, well, I better leave the money in the bank account because it's safe. No, it's not. You're losing 3.5%, right? It sets the stage of, oh, I could retire on $20,000 a year. No, you can't because there's inflation, right? And I talk to them about things that, you know, that they use in their life. Brad, so here's the thing. I got a client in 1950. Let's talk about things that haven't kept up with inflation. 1950, bought a new truck for $2,000. My own grandpa in 1959 bought a new truck for $2,900, right? 63, I got a client that bought a new truck for $3,200. And if vehicles alone kept up with inflation, we should be able to go down to a dealership today and buy a brand new truck for $23,000, right? And these are the clients that you're sitting across the table from that just paid $94,000 for a basic pickup sitting out front, right? Why am I doing this? I am doing this because when I set this FIN number, they're understanding that it's not out of this world, it's actual facts, right? Brad, we take that same $1,000, throw it in some investments, okay? We fast forward till today. Look at this, US stock market, you'd have over 13 million bucks, right? Just an educational piece. Let's go back to our FIN structure here. So now that Brad has seen this, I'm just picking on Brad today because I love him, but now that Brad has seen this, he knows that inflation's averaged 3.5%, and it probably will for the next 30, 40, 50 years, right? So what does this 100 grand look like at 65? Guys, back to the calculator. So Brad needs $100,000 to live on if he were retired today. We know that inflation's averaged 3.5%. He's got 30 years from where he is to get where he is to where he's going. That means at 65, he needs $280,000 per year to live a $100,000 lifestyle today, right? $280,000 a year. But you know what, Brad? Here's the crazy thing. Inflation doesn't stop, right? So 50 years from now, you're going to need $558,000 every single year to live that same lifestyle, that same $100,000 lifestyle today. So when we sit down here, Brad, obviously you're going to agree that you're going to need a pot of money at some point to comfortably retire on, right? And we call this a FIN number. This is our FIN number. And so I'm going to take this and multiply by a factor of about 10 to 13. I'll show you here in a second why. So you're going to need anywhere between 2.8 million and $3.6 million to retire on. And then I ask this question, guys. I say, Brad, how much of this 2.8 million do you currently have saved? And he says, well, Cody, I've got 100 grand saved today. Do you know what I've just done there, guys? I've just picked up $100,000, right? And why have I picked that up? Because I've just shown him in this little structure more value than he's ever seen from his current advisor, from his bank, from anybody he's ever talked to, his friends, his family. Like the power behind this little presentation is mind-blowing. But I never like to leave a client kind of, why do I need to save that much money? So I'm going to say, Brad, check this out. Let's just pretend that you're 65 now. So I'm going to go over to Morningstar, and I'm just going to grab a portfolio here. And let's say you're now 65. You've got $2.8 million sitting in your retirement, okay? And we're going to draw out some money from there. And you guys, I do this right at the kitchen table, right? So 280,000 divided by 12, that's $23,333 a month at 65. We're going to increase that drawdown by 3.5% every single year because we want to still keep up with inflation. And let's take a look at what this looks like. All right, let's take a look at what your retirement looks like, Brad. So check this out. Here's our graph. I'm going to just point out a couple things. We went back to 1994 for some track record. And here's the thing, Brad. See where it says new investment, $2.8 million. You're 65 years old. We've got you to 2.8 million. And now you're going to see here, we're going to start drawing down some money. I'm just going to zoom out, guys. So we're drawing down some money. First year, 284. Second year, 294. Third year, 305. So every year we're in retirement, we're drawing down 3.5% more, right? And so how many years does our retirement last? Well, 94 to 2004 is 10 years. 2004 to 14 is 20 years. So now you're 85, 86, 87, 88, 89. You're 90 years old. Right? You started out with 2.8 million. You actually drew out $10,800,000 from your $2.8 million. Brad, how does that make you feel? Is this something that you'd like to, the kind of a game plan that you'd like to have? Right? You guys, you got to start emotionally connecting your client to what's actually happening, right? And we've done presentations where we've done the FIN number, we've got to this point, and the husband says to the wife, honey, go get our stuff. And they bring out a binder and we walk out of there with $4.7 million, right? Like, it's just, I don't know. And again, guys, this is the only thing I know. So it's like, hey, Cody, what are you doing? I'm sitting at a stoplight talking to a guy. Hey, do you have anybody helping you with your investments? And he's like, no. Okay, give me your business card. You phone him up. You sit down. Okay, what do you say? Check this out. I do a FIN number. I'm sitting in front of a business owner. He's like, so what do you guys do? I'm like, check this out, right? And I pull out a piece of paper. It looks just like this, right? Pull out a piece of paper and I just start jotting down notes. Hey, so to leave you with some value here today, Brad, why don't we use your age and your numbers? Okay, so how old are you today? And he gives me his age. If we were to say, let's say you're retiring today, how much money would you need to comfortably retire? You jot down his notes and you leave that with him. You guys, do you know how many times I've got phone calls where it's like, hey man, yeah, you talked to me like 3 years ago and you set this thing called a FIN number. We got to get together, right? And this is what we do. I'm kind of forgetting where I'm at in my presentation here, so I'm going to have to go back here. But what's kept us on track? Obviously, have a goal, think big, ignore people, because here's the thing, guys. Business is business. Treat your business like a business, right? I never once treated Primerica as if it's like, I care about what my neighbors and friends and family think. They're all clients right now. That's the crazy thing, right? Everybody that I thought was gonna, say something negative, they're all clients, right? Be excited. You're the messenger. Guts. Okay. So I came up with an acrostic called GUTS, get uncomfortable to survive, right? And yet what I'm telling you today, guys, here's the thing. I was the same person that sat in a parking lot for 4 hours bawling, literally bawling, trying to get up the courage to go talk to somebody, right? And so I think if you focus on where you're going. I love what we do for people. Here's our quick stats, because I know everyone got a few minutes left. We've been 5 years in Primerica. We got 22 licensed reps, 13 are security licensed, almost 50 million under management. Primerica's paid us over $1 million. Currently, we pack $9,000 a month personal, right? And we've got over 615 grand in investments. That's our story, but that's what we've done, right? We educate the client. We take an educational approach. I walk in, I introduce myself, I phone up somebody, I introduce myself, I explain to them. Let's say I'm talking to Ben on the phone. I'll explain to Ben, here's my promise to you. Okay. I promise you, I am not looking for a transaction on the first appointment. Okay. We're going to sit there. You're going to ask questions. I'm going to answer them. I want you and your wife to take a week to think about it, because I want it to be a good experience for you. I want it to be a good experience for me, but I'm looking for a lifetime client, right? And this is what we're going to do for you. In the meantime, we've developed a 90-day follow-up system. Howard Lashner, talked about that, and we adopted that. So I hired a lady in our office every 90 days. She's phoning every single one of our clients, right? We got a ton of just life insurance clients. We're phoning them up relentlessly saying, hey guys, we need to get you investing. Hey guys, we need to get you investing. Hey guys, we need to get you investing. And these are the same clients years later say, we are so thankful. I got a phone call the other day from somebody that started with $10,000 with me, phoned me out of the blue, said, Cody, my dad referred me to you. I don't know if you'll take me on. I've got I got $10,000 to invest. The only person that's ever called me out of the blue, right? When I was beginning, today they have over $230,000 invested. Anyways, guys, back to you, Ben.
Awesome, man. You're incredible. Like, listen, Eldon, I think we need to have him do those presentations maybe on Vimeo slower. I know he's trying to pack a lot of things in a quick period of time. Do them slower and then just post them on Telegram chat so people can rewatch them. Because I don't want people to miss anything. And it's absolutely something that I would recommend everybody duplicate for sure. But what questions do we have for Cody?
Cody, great job, brother.
Thank you.
Good stuff, man. One question came in, Ben, for you, and you talked about it, but I think people were kind of a little lost on it. So obviously bonds, we've got an issue going with bonds, interest rates, inflation, the whole deal. What should people do with what they would have put in bonds as they're trying to work with their clients?
Yeah. And just because I think bonds could make money the rest of the year, doesn't mean what kind of dog you have, Scott. Doesn't mean you can throw bonds out the window.
My kids, Ben.
Oh, your kids. They're so happy with you. They're barking. I don't know that you throw bonds out the window, but I think what's a the tips, the Treasury inflation protected securities, huge fan of. The floating rate bond funds are less susceptible to interest rate risk. And I do think that municipal bonds will have a good recovery the next 12 months. There'll be some volatility. I just met with a manager of a township reserve, and there's 1.2 million in the homeowners association fund. I'm thinking, why don't you guys just lower the condo dues every month? But Edward Jones has it 100% in municipal bonds. So we talk about this all the time, is don't have everything in the same area, because then you're going to get burnt. And I want to apologize. I misspoke earlier. I believe it's going to be a cyclical bear market, not a secular bear market. A cyclical bear market is shorter, and it's what you really want. So again, you don't forget asset allocation, because on a positive standpoint, your bond yields and your yields on dividend stocks is going to increase. You just have to be careful, because remember, based on the prospectus, these managers can be restricted to what type of bonds that they purchase, which means that they can be more exposed to interest rate risk. So normally I tell my clients, hey, what's frustrating is normally When stocks go down, bonds go up. Oftentimes they're inversely related. But of course, year to date, they've both been down, and that could continue just with rising interest rates.
Got it. Hey, Cody, you gave so much on the business presentation, but let's just go to the beginning for a second. So you go into a business, right? And kind of take everybody from, I've got these 20 businesses I'm gonna go to today, right? You got your list of who you're gonna hit. When you initially are going in, help them to get started with that conversation, the traction, kind of thing.
100%. So, couple things I do a quick Google search to see if the company is like a chain corporation or if it's more privately owned. I prefer privately owned. And then I'll walk in. Generally, there's if it's a mechanic shop or whatever, your chances are you're going to get the business owner, right? If you walk in and you get a desk there and there's a receptionist, I always ask the receptionist, hey, are you the business owner, right? Because it makes them feel really good about themselves and you're building the business, right? Either way, I'll ask for the business owner. They'll ask what it's about. And I'll say, I'd like to, talk to them about business. And so they said, okay. So they get the business owner, they'll come out and then you introduce yourself. My name's Cody. This is why I'm here. I'd like the opportunity to work with you and earn your business. How do we set up a time to talk about that? And 9 times out of 10, they're going to say, just come into the office right now. And then that's where you just start talking to them and bringing value. And yeah.
Okay. So your initial conversations are more about, getting through the gatekeeper by just saying, hey, I've got something for the owner, or I'd like to talk to the owner about some business, and that brings the owner out.
100%. And there's times when maybe the business owner isn't there. I'm asking straight up for their cell phone number or the best way to contact them, right? I generally find we get very little pushback from gatekeepers.
And just to speak to that, I think what's critical is Cody is an advisor or a consultant, not a salesperson. You heard several times during his presentation, he asks questions first and listens first. He's not interested in a transaction. He's interested in a long-term relationship. And people can see that a mile away, guys. They can sense that. People want to buy, but they don't want to be sold. So of course, Cody's going to close the business, but it doesn't really impact his life if it takes 2 to 3 more appointments, because long-term, he has a long-term client. He gets more business. He gets more referrals, which is far more important. So think long-term about your business, not short-term.
To add to that,
go ahead, Cody. No, go ahead, bud.
Yeah, just to add to that, I don't ever use the word sell. There's been so many people I've talked to where it's like, yeah, we can sell this and we can sell that. Help people, don't sell people.
Yeah, I was very impressed with how prepared you are. Talk a little bit about your attention to detail and the notes you take about conversations. I think that's something that people don't do enough of.
Yeah. Well, I know if I'm going to talk to 20 people today and have 20 great conversations, I'm going to forget the first one before the second one even happens. So when I walk in, I want to find out, and this is generally what breaks the walls down. If I'm talking to Ben about, Ben, I want to sell you a life insurance policy, and I want to sell you some investments, and I want to sell you this, walls are going up. If I'm talking to Ben about, Ben, talk to me about your business. How long have you been in business? What got you started? What's your exit plan? How many employees do you have? And he starts opening up, right? Completely different scenario. But now I've got all of that information. Oh, he's got 20 employees. Maybe there's a group plan possibility. Oh, he's been living in the area 5 years, 10 years, 15, his whole life. He's probably got a lot of extended family, great referral opportunities. Oh, he said that, he's going this weekend. His daughter's got a birthday party. I'm writing all this. So when I get back in my car, you guys, I'm taking 10, 15 minutes and I write Ben Shepherd at the top and the date and everything that was said. And then I go to my calendar and I put in a meeting with Ben the following week, whether he's there or not. I didn't book it. I'm popping back to see him. So if I wasn't able to actually book the appointment there, right? Maybe a guy walked in and, oh, he's got to run and you didn't get the chance to book the appointment. I'm going back until I get that meeting booked.
And I'll end you on this one. So I may be throwing you a lob pitch on this, but how long do you follow up with people?
The last guy I followed up with was 3 years, and that was just yesterday. He's a doctor, and I phoned him up, and as soon as he answered the phone, he started laughing. I was like, well, I'm Cody Beck. He's like, he cut me off. He's like, I know who you are, Cody. He says, you've been following up with me for what, 2, 3 years now? I said, yeah. He said, you're relentless, and I want to sit down with you.
That's awesome, man. Great job. Ben, back to you.
I don't know what to say, man. Any other questions? Cody,
Yeah,
I think.
here, I got a question for you. Like people can, instead of learning the financial calculator, they could go to the Primerica app. There's a financial calculator on there. However, sometimes the app isn't working when you're at their house. And so, Cody, what's the benefit of learning how to use that financial calculator?
Yeah, and let me speak to that real quick before Cody answers. My experience, guys, I always bring a legal pad and I always do things with the client and draw it out while I'm there. Because if you show them something that's pre-planned, they will never believe it. If you do the math with them, it's a partnership and it becomes part of the conversation, and then you're the trusted advisor. So it's so important. It doesn't matter what it is, by the way. Every concern, every objection, draw it out with them. Go ahead, Cody.
Yeah, no, absolutely. To piggyback on what Ben said, you sit down with somebody using their numbers, it's their scenario, right? I didn't build a business on Zoom. That's why my presentations like on that side of it probably suck. But we were all legal pad. We were all just a blank sheet of paper. You walk in with a blank sheet of paper, right? But the advantage of knowing the calculator, there's a little more functions that the calculator can do quicker than the app. And when I'm sitting in front of a business owner that might only have a couple minutes, it takes me 5 minutes to log into my app. I can have the calculator like that, right? And then it's all consistent. So,
Hey, Cody, Mark Drake is so excited today. He's actually talking about getting his securities license. So he has a question for you. He said, you know how you told me just before about you talk to the business owner, you say, like, this is why I'm here. What is that? This is why I'm here. What do you say?
yeah, okay, so Ben's the business owner and I walk in there and I get in front of him. I said, Ben, my name is Cody Beckett. I own Primerica and PFSL Investments here in Lloydminster. We're a financial services company, but Ben, I help people with their life insurance and investments. Do you currently work with anybody in that area of your life? And he's going to say yes or no. And I'm going to say, that's awesome. Ultimately, Ben, I'd love the opportunity to earn your business. How do we make that happen?
Gotcha. That's what I thought. Okay, great.
And then here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. I just want to add something to this. Ben knows from day one, minute one, why I'm there. Next week, when I pop back, I don't have to say, hey, Ben, the reason I'm here again is I want to earn. He knows that. We might not even talk about it, but I build the relationship. The following week, I don't even have to say that, and then week after week. And you know what happens is at some point, Ben brings it up. You know what? We should get together. Right? It's magical how it happens, you guys. Ben will end up booking his own appointment because I didn't just show up and I'm wasting Ben's time and I'm trying to figure out what to say. And Ben's like, okay, so because Ben's the business owner and he's trying to service me while I'm there because that's his role. But if I've confused Ben as to why I'm there, right? Every time I'm there, he's like, man, this guy's wasting my time, right? If he knows that I'm there to earn his business, I phoned up one guy and I phoned him up 7 times. And finally he booked the appointment. He says, you know what, Cody? He said, I want to tell you a secret. I make the sales guy follow up at least 7 times before I ever sit down with him because I want to know if he's serious or not.
Yep. So